Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for joining us this morning for 1 Million Cups. I'm your MC, Trezzy. So we're going to kick it over to the presenter here in just a minute for Operation H.E.E.L, but first we will go around the room and do some quick introductions. Looks like most of us here are regulars, so I'm not going to go super deep into it. I'll just kick it off. Myself, I am Trezzy. I am the MC, host, co-organizer, something here at 1 Million Cups. I'm also a senior software engineer for Mobile Doorman and a CTO services consultant.
My name is Josh Helling. I'm also one of the co-organizers here at 1 Million Cups. I'm an entrepreneur with a background in software product development. I consult with startups and growing technology companies.
I'm Kurt Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions, the platform for hosting and managing silent auction fundraisers.
Steve Cladd, co-founder of 32 Auctions, which is a platform for hosting. Does anybody know what we do? Silent auction fundraisers.
Wait, do you do things creatively and collaboratively?
No, that's coming.
No. So we do fun, easy, successful silent auctions.
Good morning, Heather Ewing with White Box Commercial Property Group.
Chuck Sarah, patent attorney at Deloitte Law Firm.
Peter Cavey, Wealth Management Advisor with Bank of America Merrill Lynch.
I'm Josh Whalen. I run Little Wolf Digital Marketing. I'm a professional Google Wrangler.
I'm Derek Gubler. I'm a co-organizer of Million Cups, and I also work at Town News, and I lead up the broadcast and video portion of that company.
Yeah, but before that, you were a founder of Field 59 Video.
Former founder of Field 59.
Right, which is a startup that I was a part of. I'm Katrin Garcia. Hi, I'm also co-organizer of 1 Million Cups, and I'm talking to the camera, not you guys.
This is weird because usually you're out monitoring.
Right, social media for 1 Million Cups. So anyway, I was inspired by this community, and we've been doing live streaming, I think, for 4 years for 1 Million Cups now. There's a huge archive on YouTube if you're interested in looking at past presenters. And I was inspired to also become a business owner. So, awesome. 1 Million Cups.
I'm DP Knudten. I am the creative collaborator. My company name is Collaborator Creative, and I work with people on everything from custom writing to full-bore nonfiction branding and communications consulting.
I'm Lee Bowman. I'm a financial advisor at Thrive Financial.
I'm Brittany Collins. I'm an accountant with Madison.
I'm H.E.E.L, and I'm the branding owner of Madison, and we want to help businesses reach their goals.
All right, so a few quick notes. One, we will not be doing 1 Million Cups in July. We're gonna go ahead and cancel all of the events through July. We will be starting with the first Wednesday in August, will be our next presentation after today. Second, a quick thanks to our sponsors, Dream Bank for the space, Starting Block for their continued support. And number 3, make sure to go grab the 1 Million Cups app and check in. Now I'm going to kick it over to our presenter.
Real quick, just before that, a reminder to everybody, especially those of you whose day-to-day lives touch startups and entrepreneurs, we are always looking for applicants. So please keep them coming. We're going to be busy at work throughout the July hiatus, getting August all booked up. So anybody you know, or perhaps yourselves, please send them our way. All the information's on the website.
And with that, we will kick it over to Operation H.E.E.L. One more thing.
Starting Block's birthday bash tonight.
Oh, it is Starting Block's birthday bash tonight. It's here up on the 8th floor. Chandra's not here to announce it, so I forgot. Yeah, Starting Block birthday bash.
Plus, G-Beta is doing some presentations, or I think there are some sort of generator type.
1 minute pitches.
Yeah. So everybody go to that. Operation H.E.E.L, let's hear it.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for inviting me, and thank you, Kat, for the opportunity. I've done a lot of audience work. I've been in the audience over at Dream Bank. Is anybody afraid of dogs? I will direct him more towards me. I always ask because there are some folks that just don't want to. He's very interested in the windows, as you can see. he sees the outdoors. He's my tracking dog, so he knows it's time to work. Would anybody like to come up and do a quick demo with Ted and kind of
I'll do it.
Okay, perfect. You're going to be the trainer.
Nothing like putting in
Okay, here's your training challenge. And I'm going to ask you, what would, let's see. Yes. Everything in here is consumable for this grade level. Okay, so first I'd like to ask you to have him sit for you.
Sit.
Yes. Ask them to speak.
Speak. Speak. Speak.
Okay, so when you ask them, maybe stand taller, take a deep breath, and say, Ted, speak.
Ted. I knew it was coming.
I can't make him do that. It was just energy.
Oh, okay, all right, that's good.
Okay,
Well, that
then
button's on there.
throw a hot dog on the floor and ask him to leave it.
Leave it first or throw it first?
Throw it and ask him to leave it.
Leave it.
Well, we gotta throw it a little closer.
Oh, sorry.
Make him work for it.
All right, like this?
Sure, just say,
Leave it.
and then give him a treat from the bag, please. Say, yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Whoops.
Oh, that's all right.
You're doing a great job.
You are doing a great job.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Okay.
ask him to sit one more time and see if he'll lay down for you.
Sit. Lay down. Lay down.
Say, deep breath. Say, Ted, down.
Ted, down.
You're almost there. He's feeling you're a little stressed out.
Really? Maybe I should be off coffee. Ted, down. One more time? Take a little more force.
Down.
Okay, Ted, down.
Oh.
No, no. Ted.
There we go.
Down. I think I went for it.
Okay.
Close enough.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, thank you. So how do you feel? No, that's not what you're supposed to say.
All right.
So you just need to sign up for some more classes for me, right? Okay. Yeah, and if anybody, because, you know, it's a different environment here. He likes it at home. I can leave some treats around if anybody would like to give him some treats.
How about telling us what it's at?
So Ted is a 5-year-old shepherd, red-bone coonhound, corgi, chow mix, rescued from Memphis, Tennessee.
So he's got some food.
You can
I think that's the corgi, actually. Yeah. We adopted him from Cooper House Rescue in Maguanago. And you can call him over anytime. Find it, find it. You know the word, find it. Oh, there it is. So dogs obviously start with their nose, so he didn't know I planted it there. That was all nose on him. He's just really good at it. So here, okay, so Operation Heal, Heal and Empower Every Life. It was important for me to have HEEL in the logo because if you don't know, healing is when you walk with the dog side by side. The dog is not leading, you are not leading the dog. So my whole business is with teamwork with the dog, and sharing that with, in my case, working with children. So this is Ted when he was a puppy, when he was adopted. He is a registered therapy dog. He completed his canine good citizen test, so he's been tested in all sorts of environments. They throw clipboards down, make noises, try to scare him. We started off volunteering with the military youth program, and he is proficient in tracking, obedience, and believe it or not, agility. So obviously, he's not going to jump the 5-foot fences, but he'll do the 1 foot's pretty good, right? Myself, Cindy, I'm a nurse by trade. I served 9 years in the Air Force as a nurse. I got my Master's of Science in Nursing through the H.E.E.L, and I concentrated all my work and research in animal-assisted therapy. I volunteer regularly, and I got my certificate in animal-assisted therapy for the healthcare provider. My sister is also, she's not my business partner, but I consult with her. She answers questions on zoonotic disease, reverse zoonotic disease, health and wellness of the dogs, like how often should I get a stool check to keep him safe when he's working with children? Bless you. She has a master's in public health. She is a veterinarian by trade. Currently, she is serving in the Air Force. She's stationed in Insular Air Force Base, Turkey, as a public health officer. And of course, it is a family business with training a therapy dog. They have to be used to not only kids, but other animals. So we have 2 cats at home. I have a gecko. I have 2 other dogs at home. My husband, my kids, they're on board with the training. Every day we train, every day. So definitions of animal-assisted interventions before I get into my program, because there's a little bit of confusion out there. A lot of people see the volunteer teams going out. While they are very therapeutic, when they're in the hospital environment, it's usually a one-time visit. Where I differentiate is I'm able to use goals and work with a child, in my case, on a regular basis to meet goals. Right, Ted? Maybe I need therapy. I gotta take a breath. So animal-assisted therapy falls under animal-assisted interventions. We have activities, which is the volunteer therapy dogs that go into hospitals, clinics, and then we have education. So that could be the Read to a Dog program. It also could be the bite prevention program. The differences in the types of dogs, I get this question quite often, is service dogs are dogs trained specifically for one individual for that lifetime of that dog or the individual. Therapy dogs are trained to work with different types of people, different settings. They're definitely more diverse. And then we have emotional support animals, which are basically a prescription written by a physician for them to be allowed, for the person to have a dog in housing where housing may not allow animals, or for flights on airplanes. That is the only, so when you see emotional support animals in grocery stores, they really should be a service dog, trained as a service dog. But that's a whole other lecture. So my mission is to provide social and emotional support for children, specifically ages 8 to 12 years old. The reason I target that audience is that's when any kind of mental illness, that's where mental wellness should begin, if not earlier. That's when we see kids start having anxiety, depression problems, or get diagnosed with ADHD. Let's see, I have private and small group lessons, $75 for private, $45 for small group. I only do 4 children per 1 therapy dog for those small groups. I ask for a 10-hour minimum commitment, and that is because the research says that 10 hours of work one-on-one or in a group setting with a therapy dog actually changes the neural pathways in the brain for these children. When we see CT scans of kids who are neglected, abused, their brain is actually shrunk. We find that when they work with an animal, it actually grows back. So what's wonderful is that really at any age you can grow and you can heal. Working with therapy dogs. I was really enjoying the view. I also offer consultation services. I have a lot of teachers that ask me about bringing a therapy dog into their school. I also work with the vet center. They have a therapy dog. They're not quite sure how to incorporate the dog. Are there problems with allergies for kids? How do we screen people? So I offer that as well. That's a picture of Todd working with my son. So if we look at the traditional setting, you'll see a therapist with a dog sitting on a couch and talking with a child or an adult. My concept is based on my nursing background, more medical, physiological. So I work with the adrenaline rushes and bringing those down, bringing those oxytocin levels. So I can tell you that most medications, whether it's ADHD, antidepressants, all those stimulants actually mimic when you pet a dog. That's all it is. What we're finding is that these medications can only help children so far. adding a therapy animal, somebody who's trained, because you don't want a dog who's jumping all over a child, so you do want that trained aspect. It's not really, because some people are like, oh, it's cheating if he knows obedience. Yeah, but there is that breaking point where you want to make sure there's safety. And you also want the child to be successful as well. And I do know that Ted won't listen unless the child means it, there's eye contact, that there's that connection there. And that's what we practice when we do classes. So real quick, this is a slide of what it looks like when somebody's frustrated and appreciation. How can you work? It's very tough to work with your heart rate in frustration, right? Can you concentrate? Not unless, it's not as easy as when you are in a state of equilibrium. This is a picture of one of my students walking with Ted. She has speech impediments, and so we work on a lot of calling Ted over. And so what we've noticed with her parents is that when she does commands like Ted sit, Ted come, she's much more clear in her pronunciation of words because by decreasing her stress level, she's not fighting to find that word. And over time, she now rides horses, and she goes to shows by herself. Her confidence is up. She's a good student. So the conflict, what problem am I trying to solve? It's obvious, you see it on the news. We have so much anxiety among youth. And I ask my kids, I say, so I have a 13-year-old and I have a 15-and-a-half-year-old, and I say, what's going on in schools? And it's the pressure of good grades, it's the pressure of being liked, and it's the social media. It's, they're losing that one-to-one, face-to-face time. And so by having Ted, and even in a group setting, Ted's kind of that glue, that mesh for getting kids involved with one another and not just through social media. This is just a real quick study. I like to show this slide because it's the heart rate on top is the dog, heart rate on top is the boy. They're both in separate rooms. Now they come into the room together, and the dog's and the child's heart rate basically equalize. And then they leave the room again. I just thought that's such a cool, because I think if you have dogs or pets, you all feel that, but for you to be able to see what actually goes on, that it's for real what you feel, I thought that's kind of a cool slide. My 18-month strategy is to hire a nurse and a therapy dog team. I do like the concept of paying for therapy dog teams because training a dog is very costly. Their time is precious. We're not paying these volunteers to come in, they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart, but I do believe if you have a healthcare professional as the team, they should be paid as such. I'm also open to inviting human service professionals to work in the space we have. I currently have a pole barn set up with equipment. We do agility work, tracking work. I'd like to build existing programs in the community. I'd like to see dogs off leash. I feel that when I volunteered as a therapy dog team, I was in the hospital always dragging Ted. He wasn't having fun, and I feel like when Ted is interacting in his normal state, off leash, following commands, it's so much more enjoyable for the dog and for the child. And every time I go to a hospital, the kids are like, I want to walk the dog, but when I'm working under a registered nonprofit organization, they have specific rules, and I can't let them obviously walk the dog. I can take a second leash and kind of cheat and let them pull one leash, but the kids look at me and they're like, but it's not the same. I'm like, I know. My other strategy is we adopted Louie here. He's a 8-month-old boxer shepherd Shar-Pei lab mix. And he's doing awesome. So my point for this slide is I also look at what talents the dogs have, and I match those to what the kids have as far as challenges. He loves to carry things. He loves to get things. I can point, I can name things, and he gets them. He picks them up. And I think that's a great tool. Ted, not so much. I can throw a ball, he'll go look at it and be like, eh. But if you ask him to track, find things, he's on it. And it's that teamwork that the kids feel. They'll keep moving on. So these are some of the challenges that I face. A lot of people so I've been to the Kids Expo, I've been to the Natural Family Expo, and primarily from parents I get, do you train dogs? My child needs a service dog. Or, hey, my dog's got this problem, can you help me with it? Are the dogs needing therapy? So I'm not quite sure where my message isn't coming through. Or if it's just a need for parents, maybe they just think their kids need a service dog. And then promoting my programs through discounts, I kind of get back and forth. As far as some say offer free classes, some say offer discounts, some say don't. You're going to devalue yourself. Do I offer for referrals from teachers, parents? And then a source of income, which a SCORE mentor mentioned to me, was to approach nonprofits looking for scholarships for the children to maybe fund me through their programs, like offering an enrichment program for their clients. I'm thinking like foster care system keeps coming up very strong. I have a lot of parents in the foster system that are looking for enrichment or extra help aside from medication, sitting down with a psychologist, psychiatrist. There is a place for all that. I'm not saying I'm just that other option for folks. I have a lot of people asking how they can get insurance to pay for my service. And then, is my pricing appropriate? I compare it to 3 Gates Horse Therapy. They also do 10 sessions. They do hypnotherapy, but they also do therapeutic riding. And so, for instance, for 10 weeks, it's $1,050 for a 45-minute session compared to my session. And then this is just my daughter demonstrating a little bit what we do. This is, we're going to get the pole barn finished here shortly. And yeah, so those are the 3 dogs I have. And we do, so what she's demonstrating is communicating a stay, a sit on the mat. So we work with placement. That's just another. Yes?
So I have 2 hopefully simple questions. One, is there a particular reason that you're working with children? And 2, you and your sister have a military background. How are you not involved with returning soldiers?
Oh, we are. I volunteer with the Military Family Youth Program.
Well, but that's still you. I'm like PTSD survivors and that kind of thing. I was wondering if you could go through like the VFW for people who could use that service, or through like the VA, for example. I'd imagine they probably have a lot of use for your services. I just was wondering if there's a reason that it's mostly children and not adults.
Oh, yeah.
Because it seems like the perfect fit for this. I don't know.
Yeah. So my background is in pediatrics, working with my own kids. I will tell you what started this was my son, who 8 years old, would cry going to school. One day he comes home and he basically tells me he doesn't want to be here anymore. And so I thought, what do I do? Here we are, middle class family. I have every resource. I have every insurance possible, and I have nothing to give to him. So what do? We start training dogs. He starts gaining his confidence. So I guess that's probably where my heart and soul is for the children. And I work with the military children in particular, which is a group that's often misunderstood. But right now, I want to say, not the VA, but there are specific organizations that only support nonprofits. And because I'm a for-profit, I kind of get stopped there. But I do volunteer for the military.
So your business structure is LLC?
Yes.
Okay. I think a lot of the questions you have are solved by answering the first one.
Okay.
Because to me, it's murky as to what your products are. And when I say products, it could be a service, but what is your product?
Correct.
Okay, your product is a 10-hour session that costs X. Great. It's for kids. Great. what is the outcome of that 10 hours?
Right.
You know, because in my head initially I'm like, oh, can I have my daughter bring our dog and work with you or something like that?
Absolutely.
That's a different product than the one you described.
Right.
Because this one is our dog, your kid, they learn, they come out of themselves or whatever. You got to make that easy conversational, here's what I'm asking you to pay for this outcome.
Right.
So what is the outcome?
Okay.
Because as a parent, I care about the outcome.
Absolutely.
And now you can talk me into paying for it, because if you're telling me that 10 sessions with you, that dog is going to take my daughter who
has anxiety,
has problems sleeping at night, and then all of a sudden she's going to sleep after 10 sessions.
Right. A lot more money now.
Oh yeah, because it's the
value,
the value, exactly. Because frankly, I love dogs, but I don't care about your dog as much as I do my daughter.
Right. No, 100%.
And if you're telling me that you can make sure that my daughter can get the help she needs without pharmaceuticals, which I'm concerned about, or something like that, all of a sudden there's a value proposition there that appeals to me and makes me open my wallet, right?
Okay.
So defining your products, because the other product you have is your pole barn.
Right.
You get that set up, it's now a profit center where you could potentially rent it out to other service providers,
Absolutely.
you know, that work with animals of whatever. And, you know, it's like an ice rink. You build an ice rink and you've got hockey teams lining up to get ice.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps, and I don't know if there's that big market for that type of thing, but it's a profit center. And it's a product that you can offer.
Right. Well, so when I'm getting feedback from like counselors, and they're like, well, you know, the dog just sits in the office, it gets stressed out, and I'm like, yeah, because the dog's not moving, the kid's not moving, you know, there's something to be said with the physiological movement, aside from just sitting and talking about it. You can talk and walk about it. You know, how often have I gone and taken a child to walk with the dog? We're moving those hormones.
Well, and without going into detail, I'm dealing with a very similar situation with dogs, with a dog that's bringing my daughter out of herself.
Perfect.
Because, especially teenage years, there tends to be this cloistering.
Yes.
And the dog can force them out of that. Like you mentioned, the kid who's got speaking difficulties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They understand, oh, the dog needs to hear me speak clearly.
Exactly.
I need to speak clearly and I care about the dog, whereas mom and dad can say all day long, stop swallowing the words.
And the dogs have no agenda, right?
Right.
They have nothing to prove to this, like, versus going up to a human and, you know, we have such expressions, we're trying not to be frustrated or whatever.
Right, but if you answer that first bullet questions in terms of what your products are, you can then start asking things about pricing and stuff like that. Comparison to horses, probably not a really great one, because there's an assumption that horses cost a hell of a lot of money to maintain versus a dog that'll eat whatever scrap on the floor happens to fall.
Oh no, we have to keep them nutritious.
I know, but
I'm
not talking about you, I'm talking about my dogs. But you know what I mean?
Yes, right.
So it may be a place to start, but it's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison.
And that's the other problem I run into. Everywhere I go, there's nothing to compare to. I'm in such new territory. There's Nature's Edge Therapy in Wisconsin, Rice Lake, if anyone's familiar. They do a lot of horse therapy, but they do have dogs, but more an enrichment setting. So the kids show up, basically play with the dog for $40 an hour. It could be 12 kids, it could be 5 kids, whoever shows up. My purpose is actually looking at goals. What is the goal for this child? Does this child need to speak more clearly, be more confident, not get so uptight? Is it?
Well, and based on that, once you define your products, can you look for referral organizations like therapists who say this would be a great,
like a supplemental?
Yeah, exactly. Like if they're doing talk therapy or whatever else with the therapist, this would be a great supplemental that gets, especially the movement aspect, get them away from the Xbox and get them outside with a dog. That's worth money to a lot of parents.
Right. And how do I approach these organizations? Because I feel like sometimes
you do that free thing.
Okay,
instead of
so
offering
free is
free
not
classes.
bad. Okay.
No, you're speaking for free right now. This is marketing. You're paying a marketing cost to be here and teach us about this. You now have potentially, how many people are here? 20 people who could be advocates for you to their relationships. Like if someone in your family has a therapist, you might say, I met Cindy Brosig, she has a cool program. Would you mind if I made a connection? Because I think it could be valuable to you and your clients.
Childcare could be great too. There's so many different childcare businesses that this could be an adjunct to that.
Yeah.
Maybe a value add for different parents that want to add that onto their.
Right. The problem I get is, and maybe it's in me too, is when I approach nonprofits, they feel like I'm looking for a business firm money. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, why are you approaching nonprofits and not regular for-profit centers? Because you could be talking to like a therapist, for example, who just to meet therapists, just belong to that organization, and maybe they have candidates who might be a good fit for it, but they don't have an outlet for it. So approaching nonprofits might be problematic because you are a profit.
How can I get back to them? I want to reciprocate the referral process.
Well, and that's exactly it. You have a mutual referral or understanding. But the key thing I'd say is instead of talking to one therapist, talk to an association of therapists.
Okay.
Because if you get a speaking engagement in Wisconsin Rapids to 500, 250, 50 therapists, and you're talking about the healing benefits of animal therapy, you potentially have 50 converts in that audience, or at least 50 leads that can be followed up on to take it further.
And I know,
Go ahead.
a lot of people find me on LinkedIn, and I'm not quite sure how that's an avenue. So it's interesting.
LinkedIn is great.
Okay, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing right
For business, it's great.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my question is do you work with children to interact with their own pets? Or is it only with your?
No, I am open to doing that because so often I get parents that adopt a dog. They have these expectations. They find out the dog isn't listening to them, but I tell them take the dog to class. It's this whole thing. But and when you mention that, that's an avenue now being out, like the Kids Expo. I constantly had parents, I have this dog, it doesn't do anything. I got it for my kid, now my kid's bored with it. I'm like, well, have you done any training with it? No, I haven't done anything. It's a dumb dog. Or now I want a service dog because it's already trained for me and I don't, go through the work. But
yeah, if you think about it, if you can take that dog that doesn't do anything and you get a kid, they develop a relationship and they start climbing the ladder, you then refer them over to an agility trainer if the dog is into that, and the kid now has this avocation that they're excited to work with their dog about, and you've created a valuable referral relationship.
Right, and what I have going is we've done agility classes, so I can do the basics with them. I can show them to see what they like. Maybe they want to do tracking with their dog. Maybe they want to do barn hunts with their dog. There's barn hunts. Dogs love that stuff.
And there's more of a value add, I think, too. If you can say, with 10 hours of a therapy session with the dog, with your own dog, you go from having an unruly dog and like a kid to a long-term therapy relationship that those two hopefully build. And I think people would pay a lot more for like a permanent therapy relationship with their pet as opposed to just having a dog around. And I would say maybe talking to or looking at dog trainers in town and seeing what their rates are and seeing what their models might be a lot more realistic than a horse therapy training, because people will pay. I mean, I've seen upwards of $100, $150 for dog training an hour, and people sign up for thousands of dollars of dog training, and I don't know what the real difference is other than you're also saying I'm going to help your child out.
Right, so the difference with dog trainers in talking with them, because like I said, I've done sessions. I unfortunately, Sweetie Pie, Emily in the middle, it did not pan out to be a therapy dog because there's always that chance, right, that they just, we got her as a puppy, but she was a rescue gunshot wound. She's missing a shoulder blade. She's like the bionic dog just from her abuse. And she just never got comfortable enough, but she likes to perform agility, so we do agility with her. So, I mean, I totally get that. So with the trainers, they teach behaviors of the dogs. They don't look at the kids and connect like, oh, you have this? Well, I'm not quite sure what that means. And they've been really helpful in helping me distinguish.
So we're going to do one more question.
Okay.
Where the horse model might help you is look at how they structure things. Because they get people in with, my daughter wants to ride a horse, great. my daughter wants to do higher level equestrian stuff, great. They want to do dressage, you know, so
Oh, okay.
they actually have a ladder that people can climb, and most people don't get off the bottom rung. But it's very much like a pyramid.
Right.
A lot of people at the bottom, and the
Right.
higher you go, the higher you charge. And the second that you get someone winning a national agility contest with your name on it, you'll have no problem filling your schedule.
Interesting.
You know,
That's
or
really cool.
associate with someone like that.
Right.
All right, let's hear it for Operation Music. Sorry, I woke up the puppy. So we'd be hanging out for just a little bit after the
Absolutely,
presentation break. So if anybody
yeah.
wants, you can come up and talk to Cindy. Quick reminders before, or Ted, before we're out of here. One, if you didn't at the beginning, go ahead and grab the 1 Million Cups app and go check in. Two, we will not be meeting in July. So all the July meetings are canceled. We will be back the first Wednesday of August. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.